Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are really glad you're here with us today.
It is good to be back.
So today, we are heading into what I like to think of as the engine room. For most of us, our interaction with the department we're talking about is, well, it's transactional.
It's pretty limited, right?
Very.
Yeah.
I mean, you only think about them when you're getting hired or when you're in trouble.
Exactly.
It's a firm handshake, just a mountain of paperwork that makes your hand cramp, maybe a slightly awkward orientation video from, like, 1995, and then silence. Unless there's a payroll glitch or, a dreaded mandatory fun team-building exercise.
The classic trust fall. Nothing says corporate synergy like catching your accountant before they hit the carpet.
Right. But today we're pulling back the curtain on human resource management, or HRM. And I want to be clear right up front.
Yeah.
We are absolutely not looking at this as just personnel admin.
Or the people who plan the office birthday parties.
Exactly. We're deep diving into materials from Leaders Talk that frame this field very, very differently.
It's a complete pivot from that stereotype. The materials really push this idea that HR isn't about policing behavior. It's about the strategic management of a company's absolute most valuable and, as we'll see, most difficult resource.
It's people.
It's people.
And that is the mission for this deep dive. We want to help you understand how businesses view you. If you are an employee, you are, in a sense, an asset on a balance sheet. We're going to look at how companies calculate the ROI of a workforce. And we're going to unpack a quote from the source that I honestly haven't been able to stop thinking about.
The troublesome quote.
Yes, that HR manages the most valuable and most troublesome asset a company has.
It is a provocative statement. Troublesome. But when you dig into the mechanics of it, it's not wrong.
So let's start there. Let's define the beast. The source gives us a definition of HRM that feels, pretty standard on the surface.
Identifying, recruiting, hiring.
Right, positioning and managing employees. But you're saying the philosophy underneath all that is what really matters here.
Precisely. If you just look at that list of tasks, hiring, firing, payroll, you completely miss the point. The source emphasizes this idea of human capital.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It's a fundamental shift. You stop viewing employees as a cost that needs to be minimized, like the electric bill or office supplies.
And you start seeing them as an asset.
An asset that needs to be maximized, like a machine or a piece of real estate. The primary purpose isn't just administrative. It is to help the business meet its long-term objectives by reducing risk and increasing ROI, return on investment.
See, reducing risk is such interesting phrasing when you're talking about people.
It is, isn't it?
I usually think of risk management in, like, finance or maybe factory safety. I don't think of hiring a graphic designer as a risk management issue.
But think about it from the company's wallet. If you hire the wrong person, that's a massive liability.
Yeah.
It's not just the salary you wasted, but the time lost training them, the potential damage to client relationships, the morale hit to the rest of the team. The source points out that HRM is a cross-departmental role. It touches everyone, from the intern all the way up to the CEO. It's the nervous system of the organization.
And if it fails, the risk just skyrockets.
Exactly.
There was a comparison in the source that I found a little, let's just call it unsentimental. It compared employees to production elements.
The upgrade concept.
Yeah. It argued that just as machines or software need to be constantly updated to stay competitive, human resources must be consistently upgraded or replaced. Replaced is a tough word to hear when you're the resource being discussed.
It is cold, I agree. But if you remove the emotion for a second and just look at it through the lens of business competitiveness, it makes a certain kind of sense.
How so?
Well, if the market shifts, let's say everyone moves to AI-driven design tools and your workforce only knows how to use pen and paper, your assets are depreciating.
They're losing value.
Right, so the source argues the workforce must adapt. And that implies either training, upgrading the asset, or, well, finding new assets that already have those specs.
So broadly speaking, the goal is always the maximization of output.
Always. It is about making the organization tick at the highest possible efficiency.
Okay, so if we accept that premise, that we are assets to be acquired and optimized, let's walk through the life cycle of this asset. The source breaks this down chronologically, and it starts way before a job listing ever goes up.
Right. It starts with human resource planning. Before you can hire, you have to analyze the current state of the machine. The source talks about determining if there's an abundance or deficiency of employees,
Which is a fancy way of asking, do we have too many people or not enough?
basically. But it's also about skill sets. Do we have enough of the right people? Once they decide there is a gap, a deficiency, they move to job analysis.
And this seemed crucial. You don't just post an ad that says wanted. Someone good at computers.
Please don't ever do that. Now, job analysis is about creating a really in-depth explanation of the position. What are the specific duties? The required skills? What are the success metrics?
You have to know what the component is supposed to do before you build it.
Exactly. Only once that profile is locked in do you move to recruitment.
Speaking of recruitment, the source had a very specific and maybe a little dated detail. It mentioned placing ads in newspapers.
It does feel a bit 20th century on the surface, doesn't it?
A little bit.
But look at the principle behind it. The source is talking about targeted advertising based on data. You don't just spray and pray. You look at job studies to figure out where your ideal candidate